Segment 2, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. Check us on the web, ntnm.org, community policing, big on it, caps24.org. Thanks, my entire technical crew, Sonny Hersh. Hey, Marty, how you doing? Next guest, president of the Westridge Community Council, overall neighborhood, good guy, doing all sorts of stuff. We're talking a frequent guest here, Michael C. Moses. Mike, how you doing?
How are you doing?
Good.
Very good, very good.
What's on the agenda for today?
Well, you know, I was looking at what Senator Silverstein had proposed for his earmarks to the neighborhood, and I had heard from other people that $100,000 was going to go to the the West Regis Park Community Organization, not the Westridge group. I'm pretty sure about that.
I would think so.
I would think so, yeah. I think me and about two other people, maybe yourself, didn't get a check. But the point is, and I thought it was very interesting for a number of reasons, and I just went to the last meeting of the West Regis Park Community Organization meeting just like about 3-4 weeks ago at Boone School, and as soon as I heard about the 100,000, I said, you know, I'm so glad you, Devlin, brought up this point at the meeting. And what happened was they started reading the minutes, or they tried to accept the minutes from the previous meeting, and Mr. Devlin brought up a point saying, well, you know, there's no votes at the previous meeting. There was nothing voted on the 2 meetings ago. So he said, there must be some discussion about what to do from this organization, and it must be with the board of directors. Now, he said some other things, but this is the gist of the board of directors, and they kind of agreed. And so he made a motion that that the board of directors meetings, which meet, you know, it's not a general membership meeting, of course, it's what it says, it's the board of directors meet. He asked that those minutes of those meetings be made public, just like the minutes of the general meetings are made public. And that was voted on and was passed. So it'd be very interesting to see how they decided and how they decide to apply for this $100,000 grant, and how they decide, what would they decide to do with the money. And then the second thought I had was, wait a minute, what made the West Regis Park Community Organization? What put them on the map? What was their first major issue? Of course, they put on the ballot the Community Planning Board, which we've talked about before in this show. Well, if they get $100,000, they should go in front of the Community Planning Board to decide how to spend the money. Because if they don't do that, then why do you need a Community Planning Board? Then the question is, well, how can the people who applied for the money appoint the people who will decide how to spend the money? How can that happen? Because we've had a lot of conversations in the community and also on this show concerning about transparency, making sure there's a community notification. And I've also, of course, in the meetings and also on this show, I've always said that the Community Planning Board should meet, help make notices of the meeting, but have the people in the neighborhood decide how to spend the money. And this is why it's a good idea. You can't have a community planning board, which is picked by the same group that took the money, and then say it's a public meeting, and then have the public input, and then say the public decide how the money was spent. And could anyone from the board of directors who asked for the money be on the community planning board? And is there a community planning board right now? These questions people have talked about or not talked about, we've talked about on the show, it didn't make a difference because they had no money. But now all of a sudden they are getting $100,000 if that capital bill goes through. So the question is, what should they do now? And I think immediately they should decide how they're going to plan the community planning board. They should decide who's going to vote on where this $100,000 should go if they get this money. They should also say that the people on the board of directors should not be on the community planning board. And I think this would help the transparency in the neighborhood. There's been a lot of criticism of elected officials in this ward because of lack of transparency or not having meetings. Some of that criticism is justified. But I would say if we're going to get, if a public group's going to get money for the Western Avenue, which I forgot to mention, that's where the money is supposed to go to decide how to improve Western Avenue. It's public money, public group, public street, and I think then there should be more transparency. The other point is when this group was started, I remember some conversation concerning some of the dues go to another organization. I think it was the one organization, which is the organization that they're a part of. We have to make sure.
It's Organization of the Northeast?
Right. And they admitted that some of the dues, the $10, which of course I pay every year, I'm a member, not a card-carrying member. Don't bring that up. I know that's what you were thinking, but
keep going.
But we have to make sure that one doesn't get any of this money, which I'm sure they won't. And we have to make sure that we have transparency where the money is spent. And the only way to do that is have the public decide where the money goes. So that's the first things I thought. I'm sure everybody else thought the same things when they heard about this money going to the West Regis Park, and we'll have to see what happens. But I'm also looking forward to that, the minutes of the Board of Directors meetings concerning this money, which they passed at their last meeting. And that's how, that's what I was thinking about that $100,000.
I didn't see that one coming at all.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why.
What you got on your? What else you got on the agenda?
Well, we all know that Jan Schakowsky has decided not to run for the Senate, and that's her choice. And she'll keep on doing the great job she's doing in the House. And we'll have to wait and see in the next month who decides to run for what statewide office or what countywide office, and which Republicans are going to run. So I think we'll just have to wait and see a little while. Now that Jan, that was one of the dominoes. If Jan would have ran for the Senate, you would have had 8 or 9 people running for probably her seat in the Congress, but that didn't happen. And so she'll be reelected, of course. I doubt very much she'll even have an opponent. And we'll have to wait to see for the other political spots. A lot of people are talking about running. A lot of people are waiting to see what the budget looks like. A lot of people are waiting to see if they'll have an opponent in the primary, state senators and state reps. And same thing, who's going to run for governor. I think you're going to see a lot of people who are keeping quiet, wanted to come on this show and declare what office they're going to run for, or after they announce to come on the show and talk to the people. And then we'll have a little better idea. But I think a lot of people are just waiting to see what happens. Again, going back to a race we talked about before, that Mike Quigley race, which kind of showed the weakness of the Democratic organization. So that's one factor. Now everybody knows that has a bigger effect on what they'll run for. People, will they go to the committeemen to get slated? Will they work with the committeemen if they don't feel the committeemen can deliver for them? Or will the committeemen just say, listen, I can't help you. I have to worry about my own candidates in my own district or my own ward. So I think we'll know more in the next couple of weeks.
We'll know a lot more in the next couple of weeks. But any particular races you're focusing on?
Well, I think like everyone else, everyone's looking at the U.S. Senate race and the county board race, and to see who's going to run the governor's race. But again, it really depends. You know, we see people talking about running for county and for statewide office. I think that you're going to see more people running. I think that once you see 1 or 2 people running for one office, you might see some other people getting involved in that office. So it's still kind of early to tell. I supported Forrest Claypool 4 years ago. If he decides to run for county board president, then of course I'll support him again. I think he was a good candidate. U.S. Senate, we have to see who's going to run. Governor, we have to see who's going to run. And there might be other races, treasurer and comptroller and attorney general. And of course, I'll support Larry Sufferton for county board commissioner when he makes his announcement he's going to run. So again, it's kind of early. I really feel that there's a lot of people who are planning to run but are just keeping quiet. So we all know the major races, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Very good. If people want to contact you, who do they contact?
Contact me, Michael Moses.
Good move.
Sorry.
I'm awake. Keep going.
Okay.
This is the last interview of a long shoot, guys.
Right. 773-508-0100.
773-508-0100. I want to thank very much Michael C. Moses,
Thanks,
President of the Westridge Community Council. I want to thank Sonny Hersh, my entire technical crew. I want to thank all of you for watching. Dial us up on the World Wide Web at www.ntnm.org. Of course, join us every single week. Community policing, still big on that. Hopefully, we've got a really good commander we really like right now. caps24.org. And, stay tuned. Keep watching. We'll
keep
bring
watching
you all the political developments. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff with the police department coming up very shortly, and hopefully some local stuff as well as top brass. Of course, we'll stay on top of all the various candidates. I also want to express my condolences to the family of Sandra Otarka, judge who passed away, and she was a guest on the show, and somebody I like quite a bit.
And so do I. Want to express my condolences to her family. She was a good judge and a good person. It's a shame that she left us so early.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.